Ever feel like juggling work and toddler play dates is actually simpler than figuring out your family's money?
Oh, definitely.
Especially when, you add a partner, maybe kids, and suddenly your bank account feels like it's in some kind of thriller movie.
That's a feeling I think so many people can relate to. I mean, bringing lives together is wonderful, but yeah, it definitely makes the finances, well, more complex.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today, really getting a handle on those financial currents for couples and families.
Right.
We'll focus on the big stuff, planning retirement together, building that crucial emergency fund, thinking about estate planning if you're parents, and how kids, affect your taxes.
And our goal here is really to pull out the key insights from quite a few different sources, give you something clear, something actionable, cut through the noise.
Exactly. Get to what matters. And we've got a great mix of info. We're looking at retirement planning advice from Thrivent Financial, estate planning guidance from Surprenant and Benesky, PC, that essential guide on emergency funds from the CFPB,
Yeah, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, good resource.
and an article from SoFi on common money mistakes first-time parents make.
We've also got insights from Ramsey Solutions on taxes and kids, a budgeting roadmap from NerdWallet, and even a peek into a real budget discussion from Reddit, a family of four.
And rounding it out, something often overlooked, life insurance for young families from Woodman Life. So, the mission today, simple. Equip you with the knowledge to feel, well, more confident, more in control of your family's finances without your brain hurting.
Huh, yes. Let's try to avoid the brain hurting first.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with retirement planning for couples.
Great place to start because it immediately brings up communication. Thrive in Financial really hammers this home before spreadsheets, before timelines. Couples have to talk honestly about their money attitudes, their values.
It's kind of wild when you see that statistic. They shared fewer than half of Americans actually share financial priorities and decision making with their partner. That's from a 2023 survey.
It is wild. You'd think it'd be fundamentals, right?
Really?
But it highlights a huge challenge. Different backgrounds, different money experiences. It leads to different views. The Thriven advisor, Scott Ferguson, he points out, one partner might just assume they'll pay for all the kids' college.
Right.
Well, the other thinks, no, that's the child's responsibility, maybe based on how they grew up.
And those unspoken things, they can definitely cause problems later. So, what are the core steps Thriven suggests?
They lay out four key steps. First, really understand each other's money perspective. Like, where does it come from? Family history, past issues, what are your individual goals?
Like that college example, understanding why your partner feels that way. Maybe they worked their way through and value that.
Exactly. It's about the why, not just the what. It's illuminating.
Makes total sense. Okay, what's step two?
Create a retirement timeline together. And this isn't just picking a date. It's combining your individual plans, sure, but also really picturing what retirement looks like for both of you. What do you want to do?
Oh.
Ferguson makes this great point. People probably spend more time planning their annual vacation than planning their retirement together.
Ouch. Yeah, okay. Guilty as charged. We've definitely debated resorts more than 401ks. It's just easier to picture that beach, isn't it?
It is. It's human nature. Focus on the immediate. But having that shared retirement vision, even vaguely,
Yeah.
keeps you aligned now.
Okay. So vision. What's step three?
Addressing household debt and investment risk.
Right. This sounds like where it might get a little tricky for some couples.
It can be. Thriven points out the big obstacles. Lack of savings, external stuff like recessions or job loss, and credit card debt and budgeting struggles. Plus, you've got to factor in things like maybe financial commitments from previous marriages.
Okay. And the investment risk part. People have different comfort levels there.
For sure, one person's aggressive growth is another person's sleepless night. Ferguson suggests a couple of things. One, build a bigger emergency fund. We'll get more into that to give the cautious partner more security.
Ah, okay. A bigger cushion.
Right. Then maybe invest more aggressively beyond that cushion. Or use a bucketed approach. Money needed soon is invested conservatively. Money for way later can aim for more growth.
That sounds like a good compromise. Find that middle ground. What's the last step from Thrivent?
Live purposefully and give generously. Ferguson suggests prioritizing saving and giving first, then spending what's left. Align spending with your values.
Okay.
He tells a story about a couple, right? They loved expensive cars. But then they thought about their kids' education and realized the cars weren't actually the top priority. They shifted their spending.
That's powerful. Those shiny things aren't always what we really value deep down. And the giving part.
Plan for it. Thrivent's research shows if you don't plan to give, you usually don't give as much.
Hmm.
Also, track your net worth assets minus debts. That's a better wealth indicator than fancy stuff.
Good perspective shift. So the big takeaway from Thrivent seems to be communication, communication, communication. About goals, values. It's the foundation.
Absolutely. Ferguson wraps it up by saying, really understanding each other's long-term dreams, even if one wants to travel the world and the other wants to golf, allows for compromise and a better retirement together.
Okay, let's shift gears. Another critical area, especially with kids, estate planning. What's the key advice from Serpinant and Benesky?
They really stress setting up beneficial trusts for minor children. The basic idea, if something happens to you, the parents, any inheritance is managed responsibly until the kids are adults, according to your wishes.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want an 18-year-old suddenly getting a huge sum of money with no guidance.
Exactly. And trusts are flexible. You can spell out exactly how the money can be used, education, healthcare, may be held until a certain age.
That control must bring a lot of peace of mind. They also mentioned special needs trusts.
Yes, SNTs. These are really important for families with children who have disabilities. They're designed so the trust support doesn't accidentally disqualify your child from essential government benefits like Medicaid or SSI, which have strict asset limits.
Ah, that's a crucial detail. You want to help, not hinder their access to other support.
Precisely. So, yeah, not the cheeriest topic, but estate planning, especially trusts, is vital for parents.
Okay. Now let's pivot to something everyone needs. An emergency fund. The CFPB guide is helpful here.
Yes, the emergency fund.
Yeah.
That safety net we all know we should have.
But maybe put off building. What's the CFPB's main point?
Their core message is simple. You need this cash reserve. It's for unexpected stuff, car breaks down, medical bill pops up, maybe even job loss. It protects you from financial shocks.
And why is it so critical? Can't you just use a credit card?
Well, the CFPB warns against that. Without that fund, even a small setback can push you into debt, high-interest debt, or you might dip into retirement savings early, which is really not ideal.
So it's a buffer. Stops a small problem from becoming a huge one. How much do they say you need?
They stress it really depends on your situation, your household needs. Think about past surprise expenses. What did they cost? That helps set a realistic goal. And, importantly, they say even a small fund is way better than nothing, especially if you're paycheck to paycheck.
Okay, so start small. Don't get overwhelmed. What are some strategies for actually building it?
They offer several practical tips.
Mm-hmm.
First, make it a habit. Set a goal, contribute regularly, even small amounts. Track your progress, maybe even celebrate milestones.
Like building any good habit, really. Consistency. What else?
Manage your cash flow. Know when money comes in, when bills go out. Can you adjust due dates? Can you stash away any extra cash that pops up? Also, use windfalls, tax refunds, gifts, put some or all straight into the emergency fund.
Good idea. Use those boosts. What about automation? That helps, right?
Absolutely. They strongly recommend making it automatic. Set up recurring transfers from checking to savings. You decide how much, how often, set it and forget it. Or see if your employer can split your direct deposit, some to checking, some straight to savings.
Love that. Takes the effort out of it. Now, where should you keep this money?
Key things. Keep it safe, easy to access when needed, but maybe not too easy to dip into for non-emergencies. A standard savings account at a bank or credit union is usually the go-to. Safe, liquid. They mention prepaid cards as an option for some. Cash at home. Maybe a little, but they caution against keeping a lot there. Risk of theft, loss, fire.
Makes sense. Accessible, but slightly separate. And when do you actually use it? What counts as an emergency?
They advise setting clear guidelines for yourself. What's a real emergency versus just an unexpected want? Be consistent. Using it for its purpose helps you avoid costly debt. And crucially, don't feel guilty using it for a real emergency, but then make refilling it a priority.
Good point. It's there to be used, then rebuilt. Okay, let's talk specifically about new parents. SoFi highlights some common financial mistakes.
Yeah, having a baby changes everything financially too. SoFi points out a few common slip-ups. First one, overspending on baby gear.
Oh, yeah. The pressure is real. You feel like you need everything all brand new.
Exactly. So SoFi suggests looking at secondhand options, online marketplaces, consignment stores. Except hand-me-downs. Friends and family with older kids are often happy to pass things on.
Smart. And sustainable, too. What else for new parents?
The need for a stronger safety net becomes even more critical. Again, that emergency fund, even starting small. But also, review your insurance health, life, disability. Having a baby is usually a qualifying life event, so you can often adjust health insurance outside open enrollment.
That's super important about insurance, protecting dependents.
Absolutely. And, unsurprisingly, they stress needing a budget. You have all these new expenses, diapers, formula, maybe childcare. The 50-30-20 rule is mentioned as one possible starting framework.
A good starting point to see where the money's going. What about long-term savings? Like retirement? Does that get pushed aside?
Suffice says try hard not to let that happen. Keep prioritizing retirement savings, even with a newborn. Use that 401k if you have one, or open an IRA. Don't neglect your own future.
And thinking even further ahead, the kids' education.
They advise starting early if you can. Use those tax advantage plans like 529s or Coverdell ESAs.
Good tools. Now, taxes. Often overlooked, but kids make a big difference, right? Ramsey Solutions has insights here.
Yes, they highlight specific tax credits for parents. The big one is the child tax credit, up to $2,000 per kid under 17. They show an example for a family of 4, and yeah, it can significantly lower your tax bill.
That's a nice chunk of change. What other credits?
The Child Independent Care Credit helps with childcare costs so you can work or look for work. Covers 20-35% of those costs, up to certain limits. They give an example for a single parent again, shows how it directly reduces taxes owed.
Childcare is a huge expense for many, so that credit helps. Anything else?
Yep. The adoption tax credit, pretty substantial for 2024, over $16,000 max per child. Also, the head of household filing status for single parents, better tax rate, bigger standard deduction, and the American Opportunity Tax Credit, or AOTC, for college costs.
Wow, okay, so several ways the tax system tries to help families. Ramsey also mentions those college savings plans again.
They do, highlighting ESAs and 529s. But they add a crucial piece of advice.
Yeah.
Get out of debt first, except maybe the mortgage. Build your emergency fund and fund your own retirement before you go all in on college savings for the kids.
That's really important. Secure your own oxygen mask first, basically. Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts of day-to-day money management. The family budget. NerdWallet has a practical guide.
NerdWallet keeps it simple. A family budget is just a plan for money coming in and going out, usually monthly. They stress it takes teamwork, focus, and willingness to adjust it regularly.
So what are the steps to actually create one?
First step, estimate your expenses. Sit down together, be honest about where you think money is going. Savings, debt, regular bills like mortgage or rent, utilities, then other spending. Just ballpark it initially.
Okay, a rough starting point. Then what?
Then track your actual spending. Go through bank statements, credit card bills, everything. List the real numbers. NerdWallet calls this the awakening experience because people often realize they spend way more in certain areas than they thought.
Huh, I bet. Seeing it in black and white can be a bit of an eye-opener. After you track, what's next?
Identify where you can cut back. Once you see the real picture, you can make informed choices. Where can you reduce or eliminate spending to free up money for your goals?
Makes sense. Move from just spending to choosing where the money goes. Final piece of the puzzle.
Add up all your income, then create your actual spending plan based on that income and your goals. NerdWallet mentions the 50-30-20 budget again as one option, but emphasizes finding a method that works for your family. And keep talking about your goals, individual and family, to stay motivated.
There's that communication theme again. It really is key. Now, to make this super practical, we looked at a Reddit thread, family of 4, $10K monthly income in a big city, asking for budget advice. What came out of that real-world chat?
That thread really showed how people feel uncertain. They want to know if they're doing okay compared to others. The poster asked if their spending was normal. A key first response was, okay, you mentioned the mortgage, but where's the rest of the $10K going? You need the whole picture.
Right. Income and mortgage alone don't tell the story. What big expenses came up?
No surprises really for a family in a city: mortgage or rent and daycare. Those are the big ones mentioned frequently.
Yeah, those can eat up a huge chunk. What kind of budgeting advice came up?
The big one was track your spending diligently, but maybe ditch the manual spreadsheets. Lots of people suggested using budgeting software or just the tools already in your banking app to automate the tracking.
Automation again?
Yeah, one person mentioned the original poster was manually entering everything, calling it exhausting. So automate where you can. Saves time, less overwhelming.
That sounds like a game changer. Get a real-time view instead of always looking back. Did specific spending categories get discussed?
Yep. Groceries, restaurant, stakeout, entertainment, or fun money, miscellaneous bills. Someone suggested breaking down miscellaneous into smaller categories to see exactly where that money goes and find places to adjust.
Good tip. get granular. And I bet the both partners on board point came up too.
Oh, yeah. Several people stress that for a budget to work, both partners need to be involved in making it, understand it, and agree to stick to it.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, finally, let's talk life insurance for young families. It feels like something people put off, maybe think is too expensive. Woodman Life had some thoughts on this.
They tackle that cost misconception head on. They cite a study from LIMRA, that's an insurance research group, showing people massively overestimate the cost, especially younger people, thinking it's like 3 times the actual price.
Wow, 3 times. So what's the reality? Is it affordable?
They emphasize that, yeah, premiums, especially for term life insurance, can be surprisingly affordable, often less than, say, your streaming services bill each month.
That puts it in perspective. So besides being potentially affordable, why is it so important for young families?
Woodman Life lays out clear reasons. One, obviously protecting kids and dependents if an income earner dies unexpectedly. Two, premiums are cheaper when you're young and healthy. Three, it can cover debts like mortgages or student loans so they don't burden the surviving family. And four, just peace of mind.
That peace of mind is huge, isn't it? Knowing you've put protection in place. They shared a story, too.
Yes, a powerful one about Isha Kelly, a single mom. A tornado hit her community, and it really made her think about life insurance, something she hadn't considered much before. Talking to a financial professional helped her see the need to protect her family.
Sometimes it takes a wake-up call like that. So what's their advice for getting started?
Be proactive. Don't wait for a crisis. Talk to a financial professional. Figure out your family's actual needs. Research different policy types. Find one that fits your budget and provides enough coverage. The best time is usually now, when you're younger and healthier.
Proactive and informed. Got it. Well, we have definitely covered a ton of ground in this deep dive.
We really have. And, it all kind of circles back to a few core ideas, doesn't it? That critical need for communication between partners.
Yeah,
Planning ahead for retirement and for those inevitable emergencies.
right.
Thinking about estate planning, especially with kids. Understanding those tax benefits.
The value of just having a budget, sticking to it, and realizing life insurance might be more affordable and important than you thought.
Exactly. It seems like a lot, but hopefully breaking it down helps it feel, I don't know, more doable.
Yeah, less overwhelming.
The main thing is just gaining the knowledge, putting even a simple plan together. It really can lower your stress and boost your confidence about your family's financial future.
Absolutely. So here's something to think about. What's one small, concrete thing you can do this week based on our chat? Maybe it's just scheduling that money talk with your partner, or spending 10 minutes looking up emergency fund strategies, or getting a quick term life insurance quote online. Just take a moment, think about what financial security really means for your family, and then, take that first step.